Here.
Farley.
Here.
Gardner.
Here.
Dr. Hudson.
Here.
Ray.
Here.
Mr. Rich.
Here.
Mayor Goodman.
Here.
Adam Four.
Okay, so we'll have the invocation tonight by Councilmember Farley, followed by
We come to you in this hour asking for your blessing and help as we come together for the work of our community, Folly Beach. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Give us the desire to find ways to excel in our work. Help us to work together, encourage each other to excellence. Keep safe all those who protect us both here and abroad. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'm not going to sit down. I'm not going to ask Lieutenant Colonel Pamela Barton, or soon to be retired, just resident Pamela Barton. Come on up.
He's not sitting down.
So, Lieutenant Colonel Barton was awarded the Palmetto Award, Palmetto, from Governor Masters the other day, which is really great for outstanding developing leaders at that zoo that you worked in down there.
There's one sitting back here.
I know, but that's not a prime example. So, and it was interesting to know that you made over 500 parachute jumps. I always thought you was a little crazy, but I knew you was that crazy.
That's actually why I went in the Army.
Okay. Jump out of
I was
perfect
already a
airplane.
sport parachutist, and because I was living in Columbia working, I had just finished my master's, and I met a whole bunch of people at Fort Bragg, and
Wow.
they did a very good recruiting job. They said they paid me to jump out of
Very good.
airplanes, at which time I said, I'm up, sign me up now.
There you go. And one interesting thing was General Haig said about you, you described her time in the Army when she was Army's first. I guess you were first all around in his book and first doing a lot of other things. But to recognize that honor that you were given, we don't give the Palmetto Award, but we can give you a
Oh, we're ready to vote. Oh,
and
good.
congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, wow.
So you get to make a speech now.
Oh, no. Well, gee, this is really touching. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's my favorite thing about Folly, even though it lives somewhere else at the moment. At the moment, probably forever. But
Yeah.
it's not the same. It's not the same as it was when it washed up after the hurricane and stayed there, and all sorts of people made really fine messages on it. But I can tell you this sits right up there with the Order of the Palmetto simply because I love being at Folly. I grew up in Florence and Ocean Drive Beach, which I'm sure I'm much older than most of you in this room, and Ocean Drive Beach doesn't exist anymore. Ocean Drive Beach was part of the Cherry Grove, the Ocean Drive Beach, the Windy Hill, the Surfside, and all of them were the same. And the only thing left in this day and time is Folly. Folly is indeed in the same category as all those beaches that I grew up in when my parents lived in South Carolina. We lived in Florence, but we had a family home in Ocean Drive Beach. So when I had the opportunity to come back to Charleston, I said I'm headed to Folly. It took us a few years to get here, over on the other side of the Cooper, now on this side. So I'm really pleased that we are residents here. We love being a part of the community, and it's just really a special, special place. Something that just kind of gets to your heart and your soul and makes you really happy every day. So I'll actually be able to enjoy a little more since I'm retiring. And I thought for sure that maybe you would draft me into something. That's been the rumor all day.
We will draft you in, but not yet. We're gonna let you retire.
Oh,
first.
good. Let me figure it out first. Because everybody keeps asking me, what am I going to do? So today in the office, it was, as I'm training my replacement, everybody's saying, you wait till you leave that meeting. You're going to be drafted into something. So, but I'm happy to be drafted into something because I love this place that much. I mean, it's near and dear to my heart, not just because it's Folly, but because it reminds me very much. This is really special. This will go on the wall for sure. Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank you very much. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Again.
Thank you. I'm actually babysitting at the moment, and I've left my husband in charge, so
Okay. Tell us who you're looking for.
I.
What can you say from Mayor's comments? The season has started. We're gonna talk.
Halfway through now.
Halfway through, we just getting started.
We got through spring break, still only got summer left.
We got Memorial Day coming up. We're gonna talk about, some important things tonight. One of them is, I didn't bring my newspaper with me, but one of them is the mask ordinance and the emergency order ordinance. I think I haven't talked to any of you guys to get your feelings about it, but, everybody's, our governor, when we wrote our ordinance for masks, we thought would just say, it's the end. And then our ordinance would have said, okay, everything ends, because that's the way we wrote it. But no, he's not gonna do that. He keeps saying, well, you guys are the municipalities, and you guys and the school districts, y'all need to do this. So, here we are, here we go. Well, with that, I don't have any staff reports tonight.
Yes, sir, Eric.
Oh, Eric's got one? Didn't write it down.
Eric.
Oh,
It's in this
excuse me,
one.
I'm sorry, it's on the next one. Oh, yeah, that's right.
And this is kind of a combination of Eric and me, so while Eric gets his computer cranked up, I'll introduce it. Over on Shadow Race Lane, adjacent to our Shadow Race Park, is a large parcel owned by Mr. Darren Brothers. I believe that
They're trying to log in on the,
Trying to zoom in.
And you guys may remember last year, we gave you guys a heads up that Mr. Weathers was working on a property donation to us. He wants to cut off a parcel adjacent to our park from his larger parcel and give it to us, and also at the same time make 2 lots for himself to keep. Each one of those lots would be larger than the standard plot of each lot. And so that subdivision has been working its way through the approval process. And the last stage before that gets final approval and we can get that lot deeded over to us is a final plat approval, which depends on either septic or sewer being demonstrated for those lots. They are full-size lots. They're more than big enough to support a septic system and to be developed with a septic system. But staff is requesting that you guys consider extending some wrong word, letting the lots tap into the sewer line that runs down Shadow Race Lane, and that would give a benefit to us at the city, because if our lot had availability to sewer, then we have potential in the future, if Shadow Race Park is developed as more of a park, or becomes a tennis court, or a community garden, or any one of a number of public uses that could happen on a full-size lot, we'd be able to.
Send 'em over there.
Yeah.
I got a better place for that.
Pickleball court.
We'll talk about that in the future.
Any sort of future city use of that lot could benefit probably from a public restroom, as we've been discussing tonight, and having the ability to tap into the sewer would definitely be beneficial for our lot. And then Mr. Weathers will be here a little bit later in the agenda to ask for, to tap their lots into sewer. And we do believe it's appropriate. Lots can be developed with septic. The sewer line is already there. It's not an extension of the sewer. It literally runs right down Shadow Race Lane. And we've got a variety of them. It's kind of where we put our money where our mouth is for our long-term documents that say, hey, an island full of septic tanks beside the marsh isn't necessarily the best long-term environmental practice. So this would let us take two lots, 3 total, and not put septic tanks on them, which could then contaminate the marsh.
What's the plan for the 2 lots?
They're zoned residential single family.
We have a house,
So
a house.
each one is eligible for.
Not a hotel, not a condo development, not, you know, as soon as you say sewer, everybody thinks worst case scenario. It's just a house.
Yeah,
Both
it's
of
just
those lots are zoned
residential.
for single family use.
And the good thing about the sewer being here, it allows us in the future, if we want to, us, the city, us, in the future, if we want to, it'd be like the playground on the end of Cooper. You know, we could build a bathroom there because we could tap into the sewer line, so it worked out really well, for that.
Are these surrounding lots on sewer or septic, or is it a combination of what's?
Most of the new ones are sewer. There's 3 different homes along Michigan that are already on sewer. And then if you go down Sandbar, there's all the newest ones are on sewer as well.
Okay.
If not all of them, maybe a couple on sewer.
Lot 7 is the one that is going to be
That's the one
donated.
that is coming to the city, next to Shadow Race Park.
You know me.
Yeah, go.
Okay. Having began this concept about 6 years ago of a passive park, which was unusual, it's not active, it is completely defined by passivity. And Billy, you know, Mr. Grooms knows the evolution of the beginnings of Shadow Race. And to me, this is a dream come true. Like, I don't wanna cry about this and get hokey. This is a dream come true. Because I have sat there and begged in my mind to have the children run through, to add it, to make it adventure, to have that quote passivity with the birds, the bees, the hardscapes, all of it. So to me, just to let you all know that that is, how shall I say, that's what Folly didn't have, was a passive park. And so all the other things and the bouncing and the whatnot and the pickles and everything, I'm into it, okay? But this right here, I think we should sit down, go on a field trip, and just dream about what that could bring. So,
Like Imagination Land?
yeah.
Sit underneath that pergola, do whatever you want.
It'll be at the city,
Oh, be careful with that.
Yeah, we don't talk.
the pieces come in the city too, it'll pick up a nice little section of, actual marshland, which we don't really have a lot
I
of.
mean,
right now.
marshland,
It'll be a nice feature.
Beautiful, it's a beautiful piece of property, it really is.
And it'll, and stay protected.
It will be when we get it cleaned up. Okay.
Just let the kids go to Ford somewhere.
Need more room.
Okay, so we move on to the approval of the agenda. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, question? Mr. Pope?
Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes. Approval of previous minutes, first April 13th. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any additions or corrections? None? We'll accept that. April 22nd, have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any additions or corrections?
We're just doing three of them.
April 27th, we have a motion to approve.
Moved.
Second.
Additions or corrections?
Well, these days we're just not gonna approve them.
Now we're down to Mr. Weathers.
He is not on.
He's not on. Well,
Let's do his presentation.
his presentation was,
Or do we need to pause?
you got his presentation, Mr. Todd, the video titled Two Lots.
I make a motion, we accept the lot swap and let the tap into sewer on Shadow Race Lane.
Second.
Any questions, discussion, comments?
I think we just covered them all a second ago.
just one note for the record that I did mention is that that subdivision has received preliminary approval from the planning commission.
Okay, Mr. Pope.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
See,
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes.
So I'm assuming no,
Take the rest of the night off.
Presentation was compelling.
best presentation of the year.
so far. Okay.
Trying to help them log.
Okay, well, I just see all the notes. Next is Ms. Jolly. And Ms. Travers. Oh, she's here.
Sorry, I was just unmuting myself.
There you go.
I didn't know Colleen had anything to say first, but, just to recap our proposal, the Folly Association of Business is proposing, an event on Saturday, September 25th. It's designed to be a close of summer, event for our residents and neighbors. We're looking to do, something similar to what we've done in the past with some modifications to keep it smaller in scale, and more family friendly. Pretty much a quick summary is, Friday the 24th, we were interested in doing an under the sea dance to keep with our kind of mermaids and maidies theme. That would be on private property, so it doesn't affect the city. But Saturday morning, we wanted to do breakfast with the mermaids, which would also be on private property, but for the island children to get to meet some mermaids. We're then proposing a parade, which we want to vastly scale down to past parades that we've done, limiting it to just golf carts and foot traffic, and limiting the number of floats, or golf carts, floats, I should say. And then that would be at 9:30 to 11, and then we wanted to have a street closure from 11 to 4, where we would allow shopping on Center Street, and then we would also have some pageantry. We're thinking a mermaid or a Neptune kind of contest, as well as some live music, and we would limit the alcohol consumption for the event only in those areas where there was live music or to our pre-existing establishments on the island. And then we would close that event at 4, of course, allowing for some collapsing and street cleaning. And then the next morning, we were interested in doing a sandcastle competition for island residents and kiddos. So that's kind of a basic overview of the event. But I didn't know if anybody had any specific questions for us.
I talked to Chief Drury earlier, about 6 o'clock, and he couldn't be here because he's doing some patrols while they have another meeting going on, but answering calls. So his only concern was a concern around the parade. You know, maybe since it's the first one, you don't do a parade, you just do the other stuff. I don't know, when you talked to him, did you tell him it was just foot traffic or a golf cart? Did he understand?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. When we had our meeting, he was concerned about the use of like large floats, which is why we modified it to golf carts and foot traffic. And I did resubmit it for his review. But, you know, of course, we are open and willing to take any modifications to make it, you know, acceptable for our residents and community. So.
I can say at like 5:45, because I
No,
was.
excuse me,
What's that?
I messed up, it was me. I need a motion to approve so we can talk about it, sorry about that.
So moved.
And second,
Second.
okay, so now we have discussions, sorry about that, Councilman. Go ahead.
At like 5:45, because I knew he couldn't come, really did ask this golf cart and strolling, his preference would be not to deal with that right now as far as logistically. It wasn't necessarily something that he saw as like high risk, and it was more of, could we, not have that complication unless it's truly necessary. And that was like as close as I could get to 6 o'clock. And then my only other question, just for clarity, I understand like stages and music and alcohol zones, but I do want to bring clarity to the children's section. Okay, there might be music there, but that's a no alcohol zone, correct? With the children's, the jumpy, the whole nine.
That is absolutely correct. There are 2 separate zones for children's zones and 3 separate zones for music and alcohol consumption. So they will be completely separate.
Thank you.
Kelly, I have a question about, like the beer gardens. Like, who's gonna be selling the beer? Is it gonna be whichever restaurant is closest to that area where it's blocked off?
That's a great question and something that we've been discussing. In our efforts to keep it fair for all of the businesses, we'd like to offer them each one bartender from their establishment to come out and serve, to keep it fair across the board. And those existing businesses can only serve inside the perimeter of their business. That makes sense.
Yeah, that was the question I had, because on page 25, it has alcohol consumption within street closure, and then in the next paragraph, it says drinking in designated areas only, which looked like it would be just around the stages.
That's absolutely correct. It would just be in those 3 stage areas and within the existing restaurants and bars that are already obviously in place.
So then you'll have bartenders from local bars serving within those beer garden / stage areas, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That is our intention.
Who's selling it then? Like where, you know what I mean? Like you're selling a beer and it's $2.25 or whatever, like who gets the proceeds? Is that like, is it whoever bartender is doing it, or how's that working?
Yeah, that is, we kind of need to flesh that aspect out, but our thought was that each individual bar would provide their own product and take those proceeds with them.
Okay.
So it's not anything to do with that.
Okay. And my last question is, where's the second kids area? I see it next, in like in the parking lot, West Erie. Where's the other one?
So let me pull up my map, sorry. So, yes, okay, so yeah, they're kind of next to each other. Essentially,
Okay.
we have one kids area in the parking lot by, in between Dunes and Woody's, and then an inflatables area on West Erie.
Got it. Okay, so that's the second. Okay.
Right.
So I have a few questions. I think some combination of you, Kelly, and staff will likely be able to answer these. The first of which is this intended to be a one-time event or recurring, i.e. part of the lineup of 5 or 6 festivals that we have each year?
That's a good question. Right now, I think it's a plan to be a one-time event, but because we did pull Folly Gras from the from the rotation, we may be interested in holding it again, but it's not something we fully established. So it could be a possibility for us wanting to hold it again. We've also, I know Kelly Russ and another board runs the Follypalooza event, which is typically takes place in the 3rd week of October. That's not affiliated with us, so we are just looking to do something that is a fall event, because we have Taste of Folly in January and then Sea of Sand in the kind of early springtime. So.
Thank you. So follow up to that, if this were to become a recurring event, would that come back before council for a vote? Okay. Good. Next question, in order that I found them in the materials. On page 28, see here. Third paragraph, it reads, FAB will secure sufficient security personnel to man gates and patrol within the festival limits, therefore requests a waiver of all fees associated with Folly Beach Public Safety, Fire Department, Public Works, et cetera. Is that customary? And the reason I ask that is, it's one thing to secure the embed space. It's another to secure egress and the immediate surrounding neighborhoods, because a lot of things do spill out into those neighborhoods, public urination in particular.
That is not customary in the past, in order to keep some festivals going. It was that, you had to go hire your own security guards, but we, the city, will still have to staff up. And we will still have to keep collecting more trash and garbage.
Right, so with a 3-person public safety team on duty at that time?
No, they'll have people working overtime.
Overtime. And that would be at our expense, not theirs. So that is or is not customary, that would be at our expense?
Yeah, that is customary. That's why we say that festivals cost the city money.
Okay. So with that overtime, that would include personnel on the street within the event perimeter, as well as necessary outside with policing the neighborhoods?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. And then lastly, I suspect some others may have questions about, two things, sorry. Before I go here, and I was a little bit confused by the maps because they seem to potentially contradict themselves where the blockade is. So are we suggesting that for traffic coming onto and off of the island from the east side, all of that will have to go down East Indian by the post office, as opposed to moving the barrier 1 block further to the gas station on East Huron, potentially so that cars that were coming onto the island could move down center, make a left onto East Huron, and cars coming off the island would make their way down the first block of East Indian. The reason I say that, at that elbow past the post office, if both traffic onto and off of the island for the east side has to go there, to me that's potentially problematic. Where's it been set up in the past? Wasn't it closer to the gas station?
Yeah, more like this
Well-
map depicts.
Right, that.
Well, the last one we did, we had,
This is good.
we actually had 2
That's the
streets.
parade, though.
That's
I think I should clarify, the intent is to have, if we are able to do a parade, the intent was to have the parade exit on Huron, and then once the parade concludes, we would put a barrier there to close it. So you would be able to use Huron as a thoroughfare, if that makes sense.
Well, the only problem with that is, you're assuming you're gonna cut Center Street off where, at the boat landing? I mean,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. At which end?
the only problem with that is, for the parade, where you assuming you're gonna block Center Street off? Because all this says is exit traffic, so that would not work. And then the last one, the last festival, we had 2 blocks that they could use, Huron, east and west, and Indian east and west, getting people on, what I'm looking at, on the island.
Well, these contradict themselves. So
Yeah.
the one with the parade route shows a blockade in orange that would not allow access for oncoming island traffic, whereas this exhibit seemingly does. It starts with Huron Avenue.
Mr. Lutz, do you have an answer to that?
Do you know that when she briefed it to us at our committee meeting, she talked about having it just like the last parade, where they would exit on Huron, and once the parade was done, they would go ahead and block it, like we always said.
I understand.
So you
Right,
still have-
then
you
we
have
would-
Huron and Indian both directions, just like you have on the last couple. That was the way she briefed it to us. See, I think it's confusing because of that map.
Yeah, I agree.
Her intent was exactly what you guys are talking about.
So, during the parade time, when it's blocked off from, I had numbers written down, when it's blocked off from 9 till 11, or from 8 till 11 to get ready for the parade, you only have traffic coming in on east and west Indian, entering the aisle.
That's not how she briefed it. They would come to Huron and Indian, just like we always do.
That's not what the map shows.
Right,
See,
I think
that's
the map's confusing.
That's the confusion, yeah.
Yep.
We're happy to move to block 8. We can move it up, you know, and have them exit a block earlier so it all syncs up, without a doubt. If we'd like to keep Huron open, we are happy to have them exit a block earlier.
That would seem wise to me. And then lastly, second to last paragraph on page 28, last sentence, we will be setting aside a certain number of tickets for Folly residents. I think if we're going to accommodate this festival, it should be unlimited for Folly residents, so long as it meets fire code or whatever the city might require. I'd hate to have hundreds of people from off island and then only dozens of those on Folly because it seems to be at capacity.
I mean.
Right, well, yeah. Go ahead, Catherine, sorry.
Well, I'm sorry, but my assumption all along was that it was unlimited for Folly residents. I didn't hear in any of the pre-discussion that there was a limitation. I understand. I'm with you totally. So that clarity, in my mind, has to be up front.
Yes, our original thought process there was we were going to get the current resident count and then put 85% of the residents as our estimated ticket allotment. This is an estimate of who would be on the island based on attendance levels. But of course, we can allow everyone to come on. That was just going to be an estimate of ticket sales because we want to put a cap on it. To keep everything under control and just cover operational expenses. So that's why we were trying to come up with a reasonable number for on-island residents. And we can make that number be every single person on the island. If that's suitable, we were leaning towards 85%, but we can obviously change that.
Yeah, while I
Also, might I,
Oh, Lindsay wanted to.
sorry. Can I also add that residents would be free? I'm not sure if that was clear to you guys. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I was anticipating as much. So while I don't expect we'll have 85% of residents, I know some people purposefully stay away on these days. I just hate to see even one turned away who wants to be on hand.
That is definitely not our intent, is to turn away any residents. We are just trying to keep the estimated number of attendees and designing a budget. So.
Thank you.
I think the parade adds a level of complexity that might be a little bit tough to do on your first attempt at a festival. It just, I know before in helping to set them up, it's clear the streets, set up tickets, and then let people in, whereas if you're going to do the parade and have people watch it, you're either going to set up your ticket sales at 9 o'clock to charge people to get in to watch the parade, or while the parade is shutting down at 11, you got to go sweep the streets and get people out of there to close the streets again to start selling tickets for people coming to the event. And in light of what the chief said, I just think it might be better to set the parade aside this go round.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Just one more. If we agree to this, will public safety be working with you with the numbers? For example, if we have our staff, then they have to be augmented by other security, safety, police folks. And then there is the number of safety, security, the ones that they would have. So are you willing to work with the chief's team to work out those numbers to minimize risk?
Absolutely.
What numbers are you talking about?
The numbers of, I'd like to know that security, that the chief is okay with 4 people at this entrance.
Well, how many numbers they have to have security people?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
These numbers here.
Yeah, okay, so I just.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Okay.
Yours, coverage.
That was covered in the staff event planning committee. The chief wanted to be sure that that will take place, and we plan to meet again before the actual event. So I'm sure a lot of the details that aren't finalized yet with all of that will be finalized by the next time we meet.
And if it's barriers, that team, like, so the staff will be part of the process if we agree.
We did all come to the previous meeting and plan to meet immediately. If this is approved, then we're gonna regroup again. And we talked about all those little details initially, so I feel comfortable. I think Andrew felt comfortable at that point.
You're comfortable with the parade too?
We will make that happen if we need to. There's no problem if you decide not to do it.
Well, I can tell you, Andrew was not really comfortable with the parade. His words to me was, he thought that was pretty much what you said, a bit much. The first time you're gonna go back and try to do a festival after a long dry spell. And you brought some police points that, you know, yeah, if you're gonna do it, then you gotta set your ticket sales up at 8:30 in the morning, along with the barricades at 8 or whatever, to get people, because there's no way you would let them in for a free parade and then try to get rid of them. I mean, that's just, I don't see how that could even think about working. That would be a nightmare.
Correct, we were gonna check everyone's tickets, of course, prior to anyone entering the Center Street area. So that was our plan. We realized it would be a longer day, but we were okay with that.
Okay, any other questions, comments? So we have a motion to agree for mermaids and maybes, but I've heard some concerns. Now, does anybody want to make an amendment to the motion?
Yeah, I'd like to give our staff a chance to sort of review the parade aspect and see if we can just resolve that, and everybody's comfortable with that. I'm okay with it, but I would like to give our staff, particularly our public safety folks, the ability to say everything but the parade and give them that kind of latitude.
Would you be more comfortable if they work that out and come back next
No, I think,
month?
I trust our public safety folks and the people in the planning that they'll
Okay.
execute. That's just me though.
No, I'm just,
Do we second
so
it?
are you making that a motion?
I'm like, I mean.
Well, we had a motion and a second. I was up
To just accept the
Yeah.
process. So you're just saying accept the process as handed to you from the staff?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not really a motion to change anything. Any other questions or comments?
I'm not sure, but I might amend it and eliminate the parade for this year and move forward and just get to work.
So you're making a motion to eliminate the parade?
I am.
Okay, so I have a second?
Second.
Okay, now we have a motion and a second to eliminate the parade. Any discussion on that? Is an amendment? No discussion? I guess we'll take a vote on the amendment.
All right, and Mr. Rich has recused himself from this matter. Ms. Ray?
Well, if we'd have known that, we'd kick him out.
Ms. Ray?
And this is on the amendment to remove
The
the parade. Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Groom?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mayor Rick? I'm sorry. Mayor Gibbons?
Recused.
I don't look at it.
I can give you that now.
Short-term city administrator.
So the motion
Okay, so the motion's been amended now to accept mermaids and maybes as amended with no parade. Any other amendments or motions? Okay, so we'll vote on that as amended.
And Mr. Rich, Councilman Rich is still recused. Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passed.
Okay.
God, you have no idea how hard it is to keep quiet that long.
Well, I said we didn't kick you out.
Next time, please do.
Candy.
Up to, Nicole Elko, Dr. Elko, are you here? He is here.
Good evening. Can you all hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Nice to be with you in the capacity of my pastime and not my real job. I'm here tonight to request permission to hold the Folly Beach Wahine Classic in its 19th year at the Washout. July 31st and August 1st. You turn to page 32 of your agenda, I believe, and we'll kind of walk through that. There's a couple of clarifications I'd like to make. So I think most of you are familiar with the Wahine. So as opposed to some of the other surf contests that are happening pretty regularly up at the Washout, this is an annual event. It's all women, and it's really wonderful to have the girl power for the young kids that are coming up, and the camaraderie for the goddesses, as we call them, in the older divisions. So surfing being a traditionally male-dominated sport and pastime, this is really empowering for the girls and women. So the agenda says that we're going to hold, the memo from Colleen says we're going to hold it on Saturday with a rain date on Sunday, and that's actually not how we hold the Wahine. It's a whole weekend of fun. So we start Saturday morning with our first heats at 8 a.m. and we run through Sunday about 3 o'clock is when we traditionally wrap up. The event logistics will be the same as past years, but of course we'll have some COVID protocols in place, as mentioned here, with masks if you're not social distancing, and it says self-serve food, so that's actually incorrect. We're gonna follow CDC guidelines and have servers that are providing food from the sponsors and vendors like Bohemian Bull, Mex1, others that come up and provide food for the contestants. So just wanted to share with you the artwork for this year. It's a beautiful surf art done by a local Folly gal, Hillary Hempstead, and we always promote the art as well as the contest. I think everything else that you see in the form is accurate. The only other request that I had, we came up with an idea. We were fortunate that we received ATAX funding in 2020, and we were unfortunate that we weren't able to hold the event due to COVID. So we rolled those funds over, and we have a decent amount of funding to support the event, which is fantastic. And we were hoping to work with Folly Park parking services to actually provide parking passes to our contestants. So we have $1,000 set aside to purchase 100 parking passes. So when we give out the t-shirts and the materials for the contest, we can give them each a parking pass. And we were hoping that you all would agree to make that a 2-day pass, so that for those contestants that do make it into the finals and come back on Sunday for the finals and the award ceremony, that they could, use that pass on the second day as well. So that's kind of 2 asks for you. 1, permission to hold the event in its usual form, and 2, the purchase of the parking passes with the extension of them being a 2-day pass for the $10 per pass cost.
Motion to approve.
Any comments, questions? Mr. Pope?
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Dr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Bartley? Yes. Mayor Goodman?
Yes.
Passes.
Don't you wish everything was that easy?
Thanks.
Mr. Sneed?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, for you, those of you who don't know me, I'm Will Sneed. Live at 437 West Indian, and I just bought the parking lot at 110 East Ashley Avenue. First off, I'm terrible at public speaking, so if you don't mind, I'm going to read this instead of just speaking freely. So what I'm here for is to ask for a variance to proposed 15-foot driveway on the allowed to a 30-foot entrance at the parking lot. We're zoned commercial and not residential, and I think consideration should be taken for that. The proposed sidewalk has an 18-inch curb that goes across the whole front of my lot. And we get a 15-foot driveway entrance and exit on the Ashley side. There's a couple of reasons I'm asking for it. First is when I bought the lot, I just bought the lot, so I didn't have the opportunity to speak my mind when it came to adjusting the plans for this and looking for a variance on it. So if you change it for me, you don't have to change it for everybody because everybody else has had a chance to speak where I haven't. So that's why I'm here. The second is it hurts my business because people can't get in and out easily. They're not going to stop, they're going to keep going. And then the third is probably the biggest one, and that's the traffic. If it's a 15-foot entrance and if one car tries to get out on a busy day, the second somebody leaves, somebody's trying to pull in. So somebody trying to pull in the lot on Ashley is going to back up traffic waiting for the car to leave. The next car, and if there's another car behind them, they're going to have to wait longer. They can't go in and out freely. So it's going to cause a traffic problem. And I sent pictures, but I don't think they got to you at the time showing the parking bump, what 15-foot looks like. Did y'all get those or not?
I did.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you did get those? You said you did get the pictures?
We did.
Yep.
Some of us did.
All right, so the truck shows 15 feet. The truck shows what 15 feet is. The one with the car pulling out and another car pulling in shows roughly what 30 feet looks like. Those two cars with the 30-foot size can pass freely and let traffic keep moving, and allows my parking lot to keep moving. I also need to get in a pump truck for the like bigger trucks, things like that. Let's see. And then I know I'm going to be asked to explain why they can't come in on Ashley and out on the Cooper side. If I do that, I'd have to have somebody standing at one end of the parking lot, one at the other end of the lot, pretty much directing traffic. If one car goes the wrong way, we have to try to turn around the parking lot, send them the other way. It's just not that easy to do. And in general, it limits my commercial parking lot. But to be clear, I'm not against this sidewalk at all. I think it's something that we definitely need. So thanks for your consideration. I hope that you'll approve me to have a little larger driveway there.
Okay, before anybody makes a motion, I want you all to understand, one, that you cannot make a motion to grant a variance for his entrance. This has been engineered, drawn, and approved by DOT. So what you would make a motion to do is the city to redo the engineering drawings and resubmit them to DOT for approval. If DOT says no, it's no. And when you said everybody has had a shot at it, everybody had a shot at it, but nobody got extra extensions of sidewalk or parking spaces or entrance spaces. Even your next door neighbor got turned down. So I just want y'all to understand, you're not creating a variance as a city council. All you're doing is saying you're willing to spend the money to have the engineering drawings done and resubmitted to DOT. Maybe put the sidewalk on hold for another 6 or 8 months, however long it takes DOT to decide to get back with us. All right?
Can I add something real quick? There are, in the plans, there are other properties that have larger entrances than 15 feet. So some people were granted larger entrances.
But they were granted larger entrances, not what you're asking for. If they asked to grant you a larger entrance, they got a larger entrance, but you give up your back entrance. You give up one, just like every other residence had to do. If you had 2 entrances to your lot, you wanna make one wider, you make one wider, you give up the other.
What about by Snapper Jacks?
Snapper Jacks.
Behind Snapper Jacks?
Snapper Jacks is those thoroughfares right away.
No, now that they
You
created
can form their
the
property.
way, the walkthrough. Not now that they created the walkthrough. There's a clear walking path now, so that they weren't using that as the alleyway, but they still have 2 separate 30-foot entrances one on Cooper and one on Ashley.
That's 2 different lots. And one,
I mean,
and,
it's not like a person.
and those entrances are supposed to be used for emergency vehicles.
Mine could be used the same way.
I
Yeah.
make a
What
motion, we look into re-engineering it.
But like Sand Dollar gets a 24-foot entrance and a 15-foot entrance.
No, they get one, Sand Dollar would get one, the other lot belongs to somebody else.
The way I saw it on the tax map, it looks like they're both on there, but one's 25 and one's 15.
But they're two different lots you're talking about. Everybody assumes the lot on the corner belongs to the Sand Dollar, and it don't. It belongs to another entity. The Sand Dollar has rented it over the years, but they don't own it.
114 West Ashley has 24 and 18.
Have we motioned for discussion?
I made a motion to go back and engineer the drawings to look at this.
So,
Have we motioned for discussion?
I have made a motion,
You made
I
a
need a
motion.
second if we wanna discuss it.
Yes.
Second?
Second for discussion.
Okay.
okay.
That's all I made a motion for, to discuss. I mean, he's got a point, and the commercial, my biggest thing is the commercial vehicles that pull in there, 15 foot, they're gonna destroy the pedestrian path. And they're just gonna pull over it all the time. You see curves now, well, Eric, we get those curves repainted every year because people can't follow regular yellow curves, and the trucks hit them all the time. But your pedestrian path is just gonna get eaten up, and we're gonna have so much repair cost. Let's just look at it now before we even lay it down.
When are we expected to break ground on that stretch of the pedestrian path?
Eric's pulling up the plans right now, if you guys are good with it.
And then you pull them up, it's gonna be, probably middle of the summer. They're going back to DOT right now with the modifications on the west side for utility conflicts that you all approved a while back. So they actually have already gone to DOT for a re-review.
Okay, so to the mayor's point about if we were to send this back to DOT, we're not gonna break ground likely for 3 months, but to the extent it took them 6 or 9 months, we would be delaying this project by virtue of accepting the motion. Also, could we, if we were to proceed, could we require him to pay the fees associated with our submitting back to DOT?
You could, and the engineering drawings and
Yes.
everything else, if that's what you wanna put in there. But he already, Mr. Sneed's already talked to DOT one time about making his driveway in the back bigger. And they told him that they would look at, they are in favor of that proposal, but he would have to put in the pipes, and he would have to maintain them, and he would be, and he decided he didn't wanna spend the money to do that on that side.
Yeah.
So, he's gotten one dispensation from DOT with the fact that he had to spend the money to do it.
I never talked to DOT.
Well, we was under understanding that DOT was okay, but you had to put the pipes in and you had to maintain them. You had to
Okay.
fix it.
Yeah, I understand that, but that's not part of this, but I never have talked to DOT about that. It was a thought to pipe that backside at my expense if they approved it, but I never went that far and never talked to DOT about that.
Okay, well, they were okay with that concept, but anyway. So,
Okay.
That's
to
piping.
your question, if you want to say, to make the engineering drawings, whatever that costs, to reimburse the city for the cost of engineering drawings and whatever it takes to resubmit it, you can make that a motion. Or an amendment to the motion. Yes?
I am extremely uncomfortable with a lack of clarity, like right this very minute. I am not exactly sure exactly what we are thinking about. I don't know it visually, I don't know it in concept, I'm not clear about the equity, the difference between one way in and 2 ways and the possibilities. So as someone sitting here, I don't feel empowered enough to really bring a decision that's reasonable. So I'm not sure what that's called or what the process needs to be, but that's where I am right now.
He wants to take a 15-foot driveway, make it a 30-foot driveway where the pedestrian path is going. So the pedestrian path has curbs on it and a pathway, and only a 15-foot entryway is what's standard for a residential driveway, all right? So he wants to make it to 30 because it's a commercial driveway right there on Ashley. The amount of volume going in and out, the larger trucks and everything, he feels that he needs that extra 15 feet. Usually if it's residential, we've made people abandon the backside of their other driveway to make one 30-foot driveway, and we've been fine with that.
Yep.
The reason why this is a sticky wicket is because he recently purchased the property, and it's really late in the game in the pedestrian path process. So at this point, for the pedestrian path, since we're so far along, and he just purchased the property, he didn't get to weigh in during the original time when they walked the property line with all the property owners. Now he's bringing it up now, so we'd have to get a new drawing submitted to DOT to make it 30 foot instead of 15. I think is the easiest neutral way to say that.
That's pretty much.
That
Okay.
definitely brought me a little more up to
And
speed.
that's where Mr. Barker said, and you can, if you make the motion, or amend the motion, to, require Mr. Sneed to pay for whatever it costs to do the engineering drawings and submittals.
And then come back to us,
No, DOT would come back to us and they would
DOT would
say
say
yes
yes or
or
no.
no.
DOT.
Because it really, since we've already gotten this far in the process, it's really up to them. So we don't, all we're doing is making a motion whether, if we want to look into allowing him the chance, redo the drawings, whether we pay for it or he does, and get DOT's permission. They're the ones that are saying yes or no. We're just saying whether we want to look at the drawings again, whether we want to pay for them or they want to pay for them. Eric, what does that roughly cost? What's a rough cost on that?
Probably another 10 or 15,000 max.
That high for an engineer drawing?
You'll
On a-
spend a portion of that to get it back to DOT for a re-review, and then finalize it. You're gonna end up at all in about 10.
Engineer drawings are expensive. And we really need to look at some of our other building policies.
So may we ask Mr. Sneed if he's amenable, knowing that to be the estimated cost, before we make the motion, that he would pay?
You can ask him.
Would you be amenable? I mean, is this that important to you, $10,000 to $15,000 potential cost? With,
That was what I didn't hear. You said it was 15,000?
I said it should be all in 10 at the end of the day. Now, they may be able to deny it or approve it with an earlier look at it. I don't know the exact cost.
and that's a good point. There's no guarantee, right? It could be a $10,000 to $15,000 investment, and the answer could be no.
I think we just said it should be all in for 10. They could look at a previous drawing and get away with it cheaper. But you don't know. We don't know any of that. It could cost you up to $10,000 to redo, to get them to relook at it. Would you be okay with that? It's sounding like certain members of council would like you to be on the hook for that instead of the city. So would you be okay with that, knowing that could be your cost? Now you could get it for a couple $100, but it could cost you up to 10 grand. Who
You
knows?
could call it a
We don't
not
know.
to exceed amount.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be okay with paying some of that, but I don't think I'd be willing to pay $10,000. Since the plans are drawn, I'm hoping that it wouldn't be that much, but like you said, we don't know.
But Eric, I wasn't clear, but that's not a guarantee, correct? So if you spend
Still
some
not a
money,
guarantee, no.
so you could still spend the money, and the answer comes back a no from DOT.
And,
Right.
and
I'm
let's
sure
be-
that's a possibility.
Let's be candid too, with all the hoopla that's been going on with DOT and the barrier islands and parking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. DOT, is not really amenable to the barrier islands right this minute.
He's providing more parking. It's a completely different
Well,
concept, though.
But it's not free parking.
It-
It's not free parking.
It's not free parking, but it's still
not-
increasing.
No, it's not free parking.
But we're talking about a pedestrian path engineer drawing.
I'm
15
telling you,
foot
I'm
is
just telling
completely
you what the facts
different.
are. It's not free parking.
You're right, it's not free parking, that is the fact.
And-
But I don't think DOT is gonna punish a 15-foot pedestrian path for Isle of Palms parking quabbles. I mean,
Who knows?
you're right, who knows, but if they
Because,
do, that's pretty
because
petty.
we're still in the throes
That's
of-
pretty petty. That's more petty than Tom.
Yeah.
And that is going to be a 18-inch curve there, right?
Is curb and gutter there, or is
Right
it
there?
just flat?
No, that goes flat when it crosses. When it crosses across your property, that's a flat walk right there.
Just flatten the whole way across it? So it's just gonna be gravel, and that's
It's
it?
got vegetation, planting.
Well,
So it would still only have a 15-foot opening, it's just a flat,
how
not a
about we just
curb.
don't put the vegetation right there, because that's just gonna get destroyed, and we're just gonna have to keep rebuilding it.
because.
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble here.
Because
I'm
that's
having a
what
little.
DOT approved, and that's what they said we had to have. I mean,
Okay,
I don't wanna
so-
put vegetation anywhere.
So the
but-
first time the vegetation gets run over,
You
can we
get to
just
fix
not
it.
replant it?
No, you get to fix it.
Oh, I don't get to fix it. I got a brown thumb, man.
No. The city does.
I got a question. You said that's to be flat, it's not going to be curved?
It's not exactly flat, it's a little bit raised with vegetation.
At that point.
So it's not something somebody could drive across? If the vegetation wasn't there?
Well,
But we
you
also,
shouldn't drive across it.
but we also have a defined.
No, that's, my point is would it be easier just to get permission to have the plants removed? I'm not asking to run over, plants.
That could come up in your submittal to DOT to just not have vegetation there.
Let's get it straight.
Okay.
DOT approved a set of plans and drawings that was sent in. They come back and said, to do this, you gotta have a buffer between the pedestrian path and the highway. And in those areas like that aren't curb and gutters, have to be planted, and they only give us 15-foot entrances or whatever was approved in their plan that's been submitted, it's been approved thus far. So to even move a bush or a flower, we have to go back with a different set of drawings and go through the whole approval process again to get them to agree that that's okay. And if they think 30-foot open space there next to the roadway is okay without a curb and a guttering, then, that's what you gotta do. But you gotta spend the money to get the drawing redone and get the pictures resent.
I think we're at the point where we can just amend, if I want to have said, we amend my motion that Mr. Sneed bears the cost of this, and then we say okay to it, he's paying for it, and then we just see what DOT says. I mean,
Well, that's fine.
we're not making the decision anyway, and we're not spending the money on it. If Mr. Barker, if it's, like I said, it could be a couple hundred, it could be up to 10. That's on Mr. Sneed now. It's not on us. So
Well, I said that's fine.
what's our problem?
No, I was just trying to explain the will where we were.
Okay.
So we might also want to consider a time frame, right? So if this doesn't come to pass within 6 months, we're not going to wait on this forever, right? We don't want this to
Well,
hold
once
up
you do
with
the
that.
submittal to DOT, you're in. You're all in. It's like a poker game. You're in.
But could we default to, if we don't have an answer by 6
you also
months,
have-
proceeding with our path as it was
No,
originally?
because then you're telling DOT what their time frame.
Look at the timing though. Look at the timing. They were going to start in midsummer, which means they're going to start in late summer because no construction project starts on time. And then just the amount of time that it takes before they even get to it, you're looking at 6 months easy before this would be an issue. And then you're in the off season, and where it's not necessary in November to have the pedestrian path right then. Now we want it by the spring, so we would hope it would wrap up shortly around 6 months. But in my mind, we already have a kind of 6 month time frame to get it done.
That makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure what this is exactly called again, but I'm clear that city funds are not responsible to pay for anything.
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Right.
You have to
I'm
make
clear
that
about
a motion.
I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and do that now.
Yes.
I amend my motion to say that I motion for approval with Mr. Sneed bearing the cost of the DOT drawings.
Okay, who made the second? The first
Second.
Adam.
You okay for that?
I accept.
Okay.
Now,
So
now we have
now
no
we're
skin
where
in the
you
game.
are.
I think I'm clear.
Yeah, where you are. All right, any other discussion? Any other discussion or question? Okay.
My only question is, who do I talk to at DOT?
You don't talk to anybody.
You're gonna talk to Eric.
You talk to Eric. So the motion is that the city submit the drawings, get the drawings, but all the cost goes to Mr. Sneed, whatever that be, $50, $5,000, $10,000, whatever.
The city works with Mr. Sneed on it, and they get with DOT. However that works, Mr. Sneed pays the cost of it.
Okay, so there we are.
No timeline.
No, once you give it to DOT, you're not telling them how to do it.
Once the contract, a timeline for a committal from Mr. Sneed for the contract.
Oh, well. I don't know, we didn't talk about a contract, but yeah, we would have to, once we find out what it costs, you could probably get an estimate of the cost pretty quick.
This is gonna happen a lot quicker than we're imagining.
I'd have to start
Because
with
Eric's gonna jump on it.
request for proposal to
Watch.
the engineer for what this service
Just,
is.
yeah, so then we would know when the engineer comes back with his proposal from the request, and then they can work out the contract between Joe and Eric. Because, the timeline is the timeline we have right now until that's drawn and submitted.
What is the timeline right now? Like, if, say this isn't happening, when are we,
That's
you know,
what Mr. Lutz said earlier, to midsummer.
Midsummer,
Get
right.
through the second, to start that.
right, and then if we start this process, it could be,
However long it takes DOT, it
Right,
could be a week, it
right,
could be 6 weeks, it
right.
could be 3 months,
So-
I don't know.
In the middle of the summer, they're gonna tear up Ashley Avenue.
No, they're gonna do just like they're doing down Second Street.
Okay, which would make me out of business on that side of the street.
No.
I'm just asking.
No, they won't make you out of business until they get to your area. Once they open that up, they'll put rocks and stuff in, so you, just like they did for the residents to get back and forth across there.
Okay.
Until such a time that they put the pervious asphalt down and then put you out of business for a couple of hours. till
I
asphalt dries.
gotta tell you, while I'm just spitballing here, I don't want them starting on that in the middle of summer at all on Ashley Avenue. That is a horrible idea with the amount of traffic and pedestrians that are walking down Ashley Avenue. We're gonna further impede them and force them in the road during our busiest time around 4th of July. But by just tearing it up, why not wait 2 months and they're gone? You have all the room in the world to do that. I mean, that's just, I know it's a separate issue, but that's, in my mind, that is insane to start a project like that in July.
When you get closer to that idea, we can go back to DOT and we can talk to them about that. Whether their contractor is willing to push it back or not.
If the Department of Transportation is okay with clogging up their roads and forcing pedestrians on the street in mid-July, then we really do need to change that organization.
And you'll never know what those guys are okay with, which has been a lesson in stuff. Any other questions, comments? Okay, Mr. Foley.
Mr. Charlie,
No.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Broom,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
no.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
No,
That's
but it passes. As amended to whatever it costs. And Eric will get with the engineers and then he'll get with you and y'all get with Joe and work out the contract.
Thank y'all very much for listening. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. We
We're
forgot
gonna
one more.
Association of Business one more time for 8x8 signs. You got pictures of.
The signs are good, don't they?
Sign, everywhere sign.
Oh, man, another sign that I was gonna read. Don't know why I took that flowers.
Okay. Who's up for this one? Who's talking for this?
Oh,
Mayor Goodwin and, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear us? Can you?
yes.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Vanessa Altman. I am a Folly resident and involved in the Folly Association of Business Committee as chairperson. We would like to thank council for this meeting in regards to the beach access adoption signage. Our mission for the Fab Committee is to bring businesses to work along with the city, the Green Team, and the community on litter issues. We have been working on several initiatives to help keep Folly clean, and one of them is the adoption of accesses by the businesses to help keep them clean and free. Here with me is Wendy Ozell, a committee member who has been working with the businesses and can give you council more insight about the signage.
Hi, everybody. Hopefully this will be fun and short. A number of years ago, the Green Team asked for permission and got permission to put these footer litter signs up that you see behind me. And they're fantastic. Over the years, these signs made their way off of their posts, whether it was weather or whether they to the wall, we don't know. We talked to the Green Team in January and asked if we could participate in placing those signs. And when we started talking out all the details about it, we thought, well, why don't we, as the Association of Business, try to incorporate the businesses to join with us in some initiative. And so the idea was born that perhaps the business could join with us and adopt a beach access where these signs are going. And for that, what we're asking of the businesses is to just help keep the accesses and the walkovers and just that beach area by the walkovers picked up, and assist the parking folks that are to do that. So for that, we wanted to, for that help, we wanted to place, we adopted this access sign as shown behind me, along with the critter litter signs. The adopted access signs are 8 by 8. This is the real size of them. And our idea is to put them directly with the critter litter signs. And we just think it's a great way to get business owners and business employees to help the city and all of our visitors keeping our beaches clean. Right now, all of the critter litter signs are posted. And what we would like permission to do is print out these 8 by 8 signs with the logos of each business who's agreed to adopt the access, right along with these signs so they'd be together. Now, I should tell you that we have 25 businesses that have agreed to adopt the accesses. 25 businesses have agreed to adopt 27 accesses out of 30. There's only 5 beach accesses that don't have someone to adopt the access. So we feel like this is already a great success in getting this done. So we just want to give them a little love and show them that we appreciate their efforts.
Motion to approve.
Placing the signs on top of the critter signs.
Yeah.
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
I mean, it's a great idea. And businesses that sponsor their staff are kind of excited about cleaning up walkovers and helps keep the walkovers clean. Like I said, what they did.
Any other? Okay, Karen.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Dr. Hutton?
Yes.
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Rick?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mayor Goodman?
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yay, thank you.
They acted like we were gonna say no.
So, Ms. Watkins. I'm getting used to all these new names. Ms. Watkins, any citizen comments other than what everybody else got in email?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Gurley? Ms. Gurley? There you go.
Thanks. Okay, so we had a parking committee that met in January and February. It's now May. But we looked at past tools, so like different studies, long-term plans, legislation, statistics and reports from parking, and then basically made a goal statement. And that goal statement was to establish a highly functional, safe, and efficient parking management solution that ensures resident and guest satisfaction through amenities, utilizes technology, and includes alternative transportation, and optimize parking lots and on-street parking throughout the city in a cost-effective way. So then there were different strategies for each element within the goal statement. Those are outlined below for each different section of the goal statement. I can answer any questions that you have throughout those. But basically the recommendation of the parking committee is to conduct a comprehensive parking and traffic study to include all aspects of the goal statement, and to do that in fiscal year 2022. I believe there's portions of the budget set aside for a parking study. Is there?
Yes.
Didn't know how that evolved.
$25,000.
I agree, I thought that's what that was. And so it would basically be a full island connectivity study. And I think that is all the updates I have. I'm happy to answer any questions. That's right. Okay. Please not say no.
Expansion permit.
Well, yes, I didn't know.
Just quick update Aaron asked for is the last of it back and forth, the DOT went through and we've got everything as of April 1st to SCDOT locally, and they sent it up to headquarters in Columbia for the city's request for the paid parking expansion permit, if you will, encroachment permit, which would allow us to then, at your leisure, expand the paid parking program. If they approve the whole plan, we don't know what, if anything, they're gonna approve it, but it did get pushed to Columbia like April 2nd. And I don't know where it is now.
It gets pushed to Columbia with comment or without comment?
With all our comments, the local office sent us back requests for more information. We compiled everything, sent it to them. They said, got it, thank you. We're gonna send it forward. So that was on April 2nd. That response. And crickets after that.
There's a reason for that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. So, old business, we're in ordinance 821. Second reading of ordinance amending chapter 168, non-conforming of the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, section 16802 through 07, by applying exemptions for non-conforming uses in the residential, multifamily, downtown commercial, and island commercial districts that sustain sustainable damage to the sustainable improvement restrictions. Have a motion to approve? Have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Groom?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Pass.
Ordinance 1021, an ordinance amending chapter 152 flood damage prevention of the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances by increasing the freeboard from 2 feet to 4 feet and regulating shaded X and X zones due to the change of the flood insurance rate maps and overall drop in base flood elevations throughout the city of Folly Beach. Have a motion for approval, second reading.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion, question?
I do have one question on this. So, at the top of page 83 in red, I believe this addresses accessory structures on the property. My question is, should that, the passage in red at the top of 83, should that read, the top of the first living floor of the corresponding dwelling?
Which one are you on?
So I'm on page 83.
Page 83 is the next one.
At the top.
Page 83 is the next one.
So number 2.
We're not in, this is not 1121?
No,
I'm sorry. My apologies.
So you don't have a
Save
question
that
about
for me.
10.
I do not.
Yeah,
Sorry.
1021.
A little ahead of myself.
Hang on. Okay. Mr. Pope?
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Groom?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes.
Ordinance 1121. Second reading on ordinance amending chapters 161 definitions, 162 administration, 163 zoning districts, 164 use standards, 165 dimensional standards, and 166 development standards of the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances by changing the reference point of the max height requirement from the base flood elevation to the top of the first living floor surface due to the change of the flood insurance maps and overall drop in base flood elevations throughout the city of Folly Beach. Do I have a motion for approval of the second reading?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Any questions?
Now my question.
Now your question.
Thank you. So at the top of page 83, which carries over from 82, which I believe is that this subsection 3 accessory structures. Should what we have in red at the top of 83 read the top of the first living floor surface of the corresponding dwelling? So if I'm envisioning this correctly, is it a garage? Is it a
It's not
garage?
with accessory structures, so there's an F that says dimensional standards, and this section is actually referencing the Folly Road Corridor Overlay District, but it's just overall dimensional standards for the max height of it's out of, it's on to the next
Yeah,
bullet
so
point.
the number 3 there is number 3 under letter E. At F is a standard. So that 3 talking about accessory structures refers back to item E, the district-specific standards. So E is district-specific standards 1, 2, 3 accessory structures. F is a new section. So that language is not.
Corresponds to the dwelling,
Right.
not the accessory structure. Perfect, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, vote.
Dr. Hooton,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms.
Yes.
Mayor Goodman,
Yes.
passes.
Second reading, ordinance 14-21, the ordinance amending chapter 73 golf carts, low-speed vehicles of the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances. Section 7305, city residential golf cart permits to clarify proof of insurance on the golf cart is required when applying for city decal. Have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussions? There you go.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Farley. Yes. Dr. Hooton,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mayor Goodman,
Yes.
passes.
Okay, so last week I called Governor McMaster's office and talked with one of his attorneys and told him, why don't Governor McMaster issue a executive order banning masks everywhere if that's what he wants to happen, instead of us having to do it individually. But at 6:59 tonight, he made your life easier because he just issued a new executive order banning all municipalities from adopting a mask ordinance.
Right before that, City of Charleston and Goose Creek got rid of theirs. I got alerts on my phone.
Yeah.
So on air text, I was like, yeah, that's.
So here we go. So that makes your decision easier to say yes.
So why do we still have the emergency ordinance going on if we're pretty much stripping everything out of it?
It's gotta be for funding.
That's
It's
what we
gotta
was
be-
the only.
Gotta be for funding.
That's what we were thinking. That was the only reason it had to be. Why are we keeping ours
For funding.
for funding?
If they
Okay,
get funding, we get
that's I
funding.
got you.
Okay? But the mask ordinance was, I think,
Yeah.
what it was really bothering people, and so it's like executive order, we vote yes to do away with it, and it's done, it's done. By executive order, he's killed it for us anyway.
Is there a way? Because really, the only thing that's still in there that when we move into the new building, are we going to be ready for full council meetings again with citizens' comments and participation and people, or is this going to prohibit us from doing that?
No?
Because it doesn't say in here that while we're under an emergency ordinance, we don't have, we weren't allowing those things. I understand why we're in here.
It's item 4 on page 94, which says public not be allowed to attend council board committee meetings. So this language would still prohibit the public.
Well then, okay.
Well, we could just amend that.
Have you introduced this yet, or are we talking?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I introduced it. So you
Okay.
need to make a
Well then,
motion.
I make a motion. We strike number 4.
No, you need to make a motion that we adopt
11:20.
1120 for the first.
And then we'll make an
I
amendment.
thought you read it, man.
Ninth amendment.
I thought you read it.
Well, I did. Well, 1120, the emergency ordinance extending provisions related to emergency measures of the city of operation.
Motion to
Now, make a
approve.
motion to approve. There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Now we're down to make your motion.
Now I make a motion that we strike number 4. The public will not be allowed to attend council, board, committee meetings, or any other city meetings in person. Meetings will be meetings to be broadcast. Measures will be taken to allow the public to submit comments prior to any meetings by emails, which will be included in public record of the meeting. a second?
That's a motion, you know.
I make a motion to strike number 4.
Second.
Any conference here, do you have any questions or concerns or comments?
Can I chime in here?
Yeah.
Wow, where'd he come from?
Sorry.
I thought he was sleeping.
He's zooming.
I'm a little under the weather tonight. The order, I mean, I've just got it. I was just looking at it. And it does say that all municipalities have to open up their buildings. However, it also says that they can still require masks in government buildings. So that option is still on the table.
Oh, okay.
So we still need to
Just
shoot down the
FYI.
next one if we want. We still need to vote down, if we want to, we still need to vote down the mask ordinance, which is next. But we can go ahead and we're fine to open up City Hall for public usage.
That's right. My point is that if you want to have a mask requirement in City Hall, that is still an option.
I'm okay.
Okay? That's all.
So the motion is just to
You
strike
said we
number
had to
4.
open up, by executive order, we had to open up public buildings and that kind of.
I mean, I don't have any interest in expanding mask usage in there. I think it's
No,
time for government to get
I'm
out.
talking about striking number 4.
Yeah,
It
we're
kind of
good.
takes that, so, but anyway, go ahead, we already got it out there in motion. Oh, excuse me.
I apologize, a little more clarity. So what you just read, what just happened,
We'll talk about it in the next.
It's
one.
on the next ordinance, it's not this one.
I think I'm fine now.
Okay.
You get it.
What we're doing is,
Amending.
what we're doing is amending our emergency order to follow what Joe just said. So this one, taking number 4 out on page 94, would follow what he just said.
Our city attorney,
Right.
all right.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Bruce,
Yes.
Dr. Ho,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes. Back to the ordinance now, 1120 as amended for the 9th time. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Dr. Ho,
Can I not be the first one, still sort of processing in this, I know.
Do you have a question?
My question is that we eliminated, but every individual has a choice to wear a mask.
No, we're not talking about masks. We're
Master
talking-
next.
All right, then I'm fine, so then it's a yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Bruce,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
See.
Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin.
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, so ordinance 15-21 is an ordinance to amend 134, offenses against public welfare of the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances by repealing section 134, 100-134 face coverings, requiring that face coverings or mask be worn in public in the city of Folly Beach for the duration of the state emergency order issued by the state of South Carolina. Now, do I have a motion for approval?
Yes.
If you want, I have to have a motion if you wanna get to the next part about putting masks in the city hall as a requirement. So if you don't care about that not being there, then don't make up a second.
Okay, good.
All right? So,
Government's totally out of the mask business.
yeah, by executive order, we're done.
Maybe.
Last time.
I
Oh, no,
never
I'm still
called
there.
her, I called her and said, hey, Thomas, why don't you tell him to do something?
You should have told me we had a meeting at 7 o'clock.
It was
you
gonna
know.
happen. Okay. So ordinance 16-21, ordinance amending chapter 36 finances, to add subsection municipal funds investment policy, section 36.70 through 36.82 to define the municipal funds investment policy. This is the first reading. Have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Anybody have any questions? They can ask us. Yes, ma'am.
No, he poured us in my affirmative.
All right.
Mr. Reeves?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
No.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mayor Goodman?
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, 17-21, ordinance to impose a moratorium on the issuance of new business license for short-term rentals
God,
within the city of Folly.
I forgot all about this.
Motion for approval, first reading. How did you forget this?
Because we've talked about so much other stuff for the last hour and a half.
Do a motion for approval?
So moved.
No second?
Second.
So, we have a discussion?
I make a motion that we reduce it from 6 months to 3 months,
Do I second that amendment?
if you feel that that's worthy.
Okay, I second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to change the time limit from 6 months to 3 months. Any other questions or comments?
Can I make a separate motion?
No, not we do this one,
Vote on this one.
unless you want to amend this motion. No,
It would be-
if that's what you said,
It'd be
separate.
inconsistent.
Yeah, you said separate. You said separate, that's fine, okay, on the amendment.
Mr. Barker?
No.
Mr. Farley?
No.
Mr. Grooms?
No.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Ms. Ray?
No.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mayor Goodman?
No,
Motion
it's already done, you got me. So, but we're back to the ordinance as written. So you have a motion now? Mr. Parker?
Well, I'd like to study, but I don't want to put a moratorium.
Well, then you vote no.
You vote no to this, and trust me, he's gonna sign a committee real fast.
So,
He probably already got you
I
in
wanna,
mind.
I wanna sign a committee real fast. You vote no? Or you vote yes?
He's already got you picked, buddy.
Okay, any other questions or comments? As the ordinance of 1721 or as originated?
So the original was 6 months, is what we're
Yep.
voting.
Yep. You got it?
Mr. Rich?
No.
Ms. Ray?
No.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
No.
Mr. Farley?
No.
Mr. Barker?
No.
Mayor Goodman?
Yes.
The ordinance is not passed for free.
Actually, you turned it down, so, you know, I don't even know if I want to point it. I mean, just let it ride.
Well, that sucks.
If I decide to appoint a committee, I'll let them know. Resolution 15-21, a resolution by the Folly Beach City Council allowing the administration to sign a memorandum of agreement with Bowens Island LLC to remove the non-conforming Bowens Island sign from the marsh to a location on city property along Bowens Island Road. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Please.
Is the sign in danger of going anywhere? I mean, I'm just wondering, I get getting it out of the marsh, but are we gonna trample through it trying to get something out that's it's just fine, it's not, are we worried about it falling down, is it in bad shape, or,
It's not in the greatest of shape, and, you know, it's been on a, we've had an ordinance in place that said you had to move the sign, so we're just following up on request to follow our own ordinance and get the sign moved.
and then the one other, in exchange for agreeing to move the sign, owners requested that the city will agree
It's
to not
the
require.
only one that's been grandfathered in as such, as the sign was Bowens Island, not the kayaks that just popped up there.
Right, but this, so I'm guessing that, so Robert wants to, so we can't ask him to move the sign again, once we put it here, it's there.
Well, he
No matter what.
wanted to put it, he wanted to get a place where instead of an easement or a highway. So if he puts it in our city corner, it's there.
And we don't have, how does that work in our plans for that? I mean, we're not doing anything else with that lot. That kind of, that ties us, we can never move that sign again. Let's make sure we're not using that for anything
If we ever
else.
decide to do anything else with it, you might make a better slide to put it there.
Okay,
I mean,
all right,
you just give him a place to put his sign,
yeah.
is what it is.
But when the
Fine.
existing one blows down, you can't fix it. You can't
No,
redo it.
it's gonna, the existing one's leaving where it is and going for a new one where it's going now.
So you're just moving that sign, that actual sign is moving over, right?
Yeah, but it might be a better looking sign.
Right, I got you.
His signage
It
is
is.
moving
I
from
love
one
that
side
No,
to
it's,
the other.
it's been there forever, it's just getting out of the marsh where, I mean,
But
if
it
it
will
falls
give people a
down,
little
it's.
bit more time to turn in versus, cause you come up on it and then you
Yeah.
turn on it.
There is a typo in that third whereas.
Yeah,
Should
it
be
reads to no require,
not require instead of no require.
but I just, Scrivener's error, which can do. And it's Robert, I'm sure he'll change his mind, it's not
Okay.
easy.
Any other questions or comments?
I don't like it that it stays forever. I just think
Well,
don't give away city assets to something forever.
it's something that's been here, I mean, they've almost been here longer than the city. So you kind
When
of,
it blows down, the problem's gone.
wow. Okay, guillotine.
Okay. Any
One
other
of the
comments?
historical places on the
We're
island.
giving
Yeah.
something of value away for nothing.
No, we're not. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but it's a, trust me, that place will be, have a big part in our history museum of Folly Beach. I mean, just, you gotta know the history things. That's how long that sign's been there. It's been there longer than any of us.
Any other
It's
questions?
almost like a boat.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't paint it though.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Dr. Hutton,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
No.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes.
Call Robert tomorrow. Thank you. Resolution 16-21, a resolution by Folly Beach City Council extending the 2021 business license year until April 30th, 2022, and setting the dates of business license year going forward from May the 1st to April 30th to meet the requirements of the South Carolina Business License Standardization Act. Do you have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Dr. Hutton,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes.
Have a whole lot of choice. Resolution 17-21, a resolution by the Folly Beach City Council allowing the Folly Association of Business fiscal year 1920 A-tax fireworks application to be rolled over. Have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Have any questions or comments?
So I read the state's okay with this.
That was the key.
Yeah.
Is that,
I mean, you can,
Okay.
yeah, as
So I'll
long
make
as long
it-
as it's continued the same usage.
Okay, cool.
Any other questions or comments? Mr.
Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Dr. Hutton,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Ms. Ray,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes.
Okay, so. Any city council comments? Start with, Ms. Houghton.
Oh, okay, give me a minute, I'm like, wait a
You
minute.
said that like 3 times tonight.
I know, I have my little quote here. Okay. Alright. This is all about Memorial Day. All about Memorial Day. So, here's my little research. Okay. Just 2 things. The essence of America, that which really unites us, is not ethnicity or nationality or religion. It is an idea, and what an idea it is, that you can come from humble circumstances and do great things. Condoleezza Rice. The other one is James Baldwin. reason. I insist on the right to criticize perpetuality. Okay.
Happy Memorial Day, everyone. Remain safe and well.
I guess we'll have a meeting before June 9th, but June 9th is the next blood drive, so plenty of spots yet to sign up for.
Yeah, June the 9th is actually the day after.
They have to
June
be,
8th is the day.
by then, hopefully it'll be filled up.
Hopefully.
Like to ask everyone to join in the Exchange Club as we remember those who died in performance of their military duties on Memorial Day, and the flags that are put up on the bridge or at this time. So, but it really means a lot to the community and to those who remember those that died in the military service. So.
I wasn't gonna say a whole lot, but seeing as how it's my best friend's birthday that passed last year, just a reminder just to hug those close to you and just tell them that you love them. Hope everybody did it Sunday with their mothers. I know I was supposed to meet with Tim Sunday, and I had a gauntlet of women that I had to go see because I have a lot of moms in my life. I mean, it was I mean, just going to North Charleston, West Ashley, John's Island. I mean, literally, I was all over the place, but it meant a lot to them, and it meant a lot to me, and it's so just, you know, especially the moms, but tell everybody that you love them.
We'll just end on that, no comment.
All right, so don't get excited, don't go nowhere, haven't called for a motion to adjourn yet. We got another hour. So the short-term rental committee to study short-term rental is as follows. Alex Hunter, Laura Pace, Aaron Pope, Katie Gerling, and Adam Barker. Damn. All right? Come back in 6 months, 3 months, whatever.
Thank you for doing that plan. I think that's gonna be.
Gonna change the vote for you.
Do we have a motion for adjournment?
Sun's already down.